In today's video, federal authorities arrive in Memphis, Tennessee to crack down on crime, and CNN confronted Hakeem Jeffries in a brutal interview, exposing him for the liar that he is. In both these updates, I'll show you what both sides are saying and then give you the bottom line.
Breaking news, White House Deputy Chief of Staff Stephen Miller speaking to law enforcement officials in Memphis, telling the officers that they, along with their guns, are now, quote, unleashed amid a federal crackdown on crime.
I see the guns and badges in this room. You are unleashed.
Stephen Miller's comments come as President Trump says the National Guard is now in place, his exact words, in Oregon, after federalizing 200 soldiers to protect, he says, immigration officials and an ICE facility in Portland. Out front now, the mayor of Los Angeles, California, Karen Bash. Los Angeles was the first Democratic-run city where Trump sent federal law enforcement before doing the same in Washington, D.C., Memphis, and Chicago. Now, of course, Portland.
All right, so we start off with what you guys just heard. The ICE and federal authorities are being beefed up in these cities as planned, exactly what the 77 million people voted for, because we know crime in these cities have gone unchecked. I mean, it gotten to a point where, especially in California, they just threw their hands up and walked away. And now that the president is doing something about it, you have mainstream media and Democrats working overtime to try to manipulate their audience to get them to believe this is the wrong thing. Now, their main argument is this is not the way to solve crime. Then what is? Because whatever way you guys have been using, it clearly does not work. But here's what the Los Angeles mayor, Karen Bass, had to say in reaction. Take a listen.
Mayor Bass, Stephen Miller just told law enforcement that their guns are unleashed. That was his exact word, as you just heard. As the mayor of the second biggest city in America, what does that mean to tell law enforcement their guns are now unleashed?
Well, let me just register that this is such a tragic moment in our history, and the experiment that started here has now gone to other cities and is now being generalized. I believe that they have been dosing the American people so that this becomes normalized behavior. The statements that were made to the military yesterday, acknowledging that we are going to experiment with our cities and use our cities as training grounds for warfare.
Okay, so listen, this is once again Democrats using Armageddon language to try to persuade public opinion. It just isn't working because the fact of the matter is when it comes to polling, Americans trust Republicans when it comes to crime and illegal immigration. And you know what's interesting? Those are Republicans' greatest numbers. When it comes to Democrats' worst numbers, it's crime and illegal immigration. Now, this mayor goes a step further. She says that ICE is hunting Latinos. Take a listen.
Around racial profiling of Latinos, which we refer to here as the hunting of Latinos, that has created a blanket of fear around this city and has had detrimental impacts to our economy. We had 2 court decisions, and then the Supreme Court basically gave a green light to racial profiling. They are trying to dial us back to the 1940s, and that is a tragedy for the American people.
Okay, no, the real tragedy is that we have Democrats running cities where they allow crime to get out of control. And when the citizens complain about that crime, they think investing in DEI and these woke policies will do something about it, to the point where they even entertained defunding the police. And some cities actually did that, and it only made crime worse. And now we have a president who's willing to go all the way to solve this crime issue. And now you guys want to complain about it? I just don't understand how that math works. But let's get back to what was really said from Stephen Miller, because we know CNN loves to undermine the Trump administration and take what Stephen Miller says out of context. And if you're a law enforcement officer or used to be one, pay attention to what he says and let me know how you feel about it. Take a listen.
To the Memphis Police Department, to the officers that I see sitting in front of me, we are about to provide you with a level of support you cannot even imagine. This isn't just a task force. This is a all-of-government unlimited support operation. ATF, DEA, FBI, ICE, Department of War, every resource we have. And they're not going to be sitting behind a desk at a keyboard. We are sending in real cops with guns and badges to go out with you on the street every single night making arrests. These are people who have taken down drug cartels, kingpins, the worst criminal offenders in the United States, standing with you shoulder to shoulder to shoulder. All we ask from you is to show up at roll call every single night with your brothers and sisters in the federal government and to go out and get the criminals off the street. And if you do that, I pledge to you, we will liberate this city from the criminal element that has plagued it for generations.
Now, for the law enforcement folks that watch my show, which I'm very grateful that you do, please tell me your reaction to what Stephen Miller said, and you let me know if anything he said in there was wrong, illegal. Does that sound like he's going to terrorize the neighborhoods of Memphis? That sounds like a dream that police officers want, that they want to come true. Like they want the federal authorities to say, hey, we'll give you resources. We'll give you manpower. There's nothing like when you have an abundance of people that can help you accomplish a mission. Okay. And that's exactly what's happening. And the fascinating thing is, what is going to happen when Memphis crime significantly goes down, just like Washington, D.C.? What happens if they achieve the same thing in Portland? How do Democrats argue about that then? They're trying now, and I believe they're failing. So I don't think they're going to have anything to say if this ends up working out. Now, here's more of what Stephen Miller had to say.
This is not just a strategy shift. This is an attitude shift. We are not going to live in an environment anywhere where there is a street that belongs to a criminal, where there is a neighborhood that belongs to a gang, where there is any physical space anywhere that belongs to anyone other than the law-abiding citizens and families of Memphis. The idea that there is a square inch of block in this city where a citizen doesn't feel safe is unacceptable. This is Memphis. This is the United States of America, and all that bullshit is done. It's over. It's finished.
All right, so allow me to share a quick message from today's sponsor, Bearskin. Yes, it is summertime right now, but let's not forget, winter will come, and the last thing you need is a hoodie that sucks. It's a great time to do your winter shopping, which is why most people are smart by locking in their 60% off with Bearskin. What is Bearskin exactly? It's what I'm wearing right now. It's a hoodie that is built like a tank, 340 GSM micro fleece, 10 pockets with a clean, rugged fit that looks awesome. As you guys can see, I look great, right? I mean, come on. Plus, it zips right into a heavy storm rain jacket to become 100% waterproof when you need it. So when it turns cold, wet, or rainy, you're not scrambling last minute. Plus, you're going to get free U.S. shipping, fast delivery, and your winter gear already locked in. So get your Bearskin today by texting my name, Devori, to 36912. Again, text my name, Devori, to 36912 to get 60% off. They'll send you a link so you could check out on your own time. Once again, text my name, Devori, to 36912. Now, that is the type of energy and confidence anybody in law enforcement, military, government would want from their leader to actually say what they mean and do what they say. Now, the interesting thing about all this is the Trump administration is putting their money where their mouth is. They say they're going to crack down on crime, and the president went all the way. Not only is it DEA, FBI, marshals, it's the military too. How much more could you ask from a president? It's just fascinating to me that Democrats believe that they want to fight the president on this. There was a poll also earlier that said that crime and immigration is Republicans and the president's strongest issues. And what's interesting is it's also the weakest issues for Democrats. So I guess they'll just have to continue to bang their head against the wall. Now, here is an individual, or excuse me, here is CNN outside of that building reporting about this story. And while they were doing so, let's just say the video was photobombed with an interesting poster. Take a look.
Behind us right now, this is where the Secretary of War and Pam Bondi were just over there. This is a staging area where we've seen ATF, FBI. It's been an alphabet soup of law enforcement as we've seen them get ready and go out and make runs throughout the day. We know more than 50 arrests were made just last night, 20 guns taken off the street in the last 48 hours. You see people like this who behind me with this sign. He has it on both sides. If you can flip it around and show what he's saying, he's hoping that this action by Trump will help make the city safer.
All right. So we actually had to take note of this just really quickly here. I want to highlight this point that he was making. He said, quote, "We know more than 50 arrests were made just last night, 20 guns taken off the streets in the last 48 hours. Now, why won't Democrats celebrate that, especially for the ones who are all about gun control? It's interesting how when the Trump administration does something right and gets positive results, crickets, right? And if they make one mistake, I guess based on your perception, if it's a mistake, right? Because we know how they like to spin things, it's Armageddon. So that's just in the first 48 hours. Now imagine what they can accomplish in 1 month. Okay, so let's go to this other part of this clip where he actually speaks to someone who lives in Memphis who's all about this. Take a look.
Take a listen to a man that we talked to in a neighborhood that basically says he welcomes the idea of this federal action.
You can't be satisfied living in a city where you can't go to the gas station. You go to the gas station, you make it become a statistic. That's real. I tell my wife, do not go to the gas station at night. But now sometimes you can't go to it in the daytime. You know, I don't come out my front door without looking out the window first, left and right.
Okay, so if you can't even go to the gas station at 8 p.m. at night without getting mugged, that tells you your city is filled with crime. I mean, no question, it's an issue. And you know what the crazy thing about all this? We're talking about black people, ultimately. Okay? This is a city that is predominantly black. So you have black people committing crimes against other black people. Why do I bring that up exactly? Because it's just hypocrisy and broken ideas that Democrats sell to the black community. They say they are trying to help the oppressed. They're not doing anything about crime. Isn't it interesting? The guy they say who is a white supremacist, a racist, is actually doing something that will help the black community by cracking down on crime so someone's grandmother doesn't get knocked out, killed, or her car stolen. Now, isn't that something that is positive? I wonder if black leaders will say something about it. Chances are the answer is no, especially when they continue to think just like this lady.
Memphis has a history of racialized violence in the city. If you think back to the sanitation workers strike, so bringing troops here puts black and brown communities at a higher risk to be targeted, and potentially pulling funds and resources from the communities that need them.
Jake, you've had me on your show several times, and we've been covering crime throughout the pandemic, and we saw that spike back in 2020. Cities have been struggling to get crime back down. We see year lows now, 25% down according to the police department here. The Chief Davis, has been working to get crime down. We know federal resources will help. The mayor says they want those extra federal resources, but there are people in this community who are scared that a heavy hand here could lead to some sort of action. Let's not forget that this is where Tyrese Nichols was also killed. But they want action. They want to see gun crime tampered down a lot. One other thing, as the HEXF talked to the troops here, we know that Elon Musk even bought food for them as they get ready to hit the streets tonight. There's a lot of support for them as they do this action over the next couple of days.
Well, what do you know? Elon Musk purchasing food for veterans that are in Memphis, Tennessee right now. That is just great news. I like to see that the administration can get along with Elon Musk. I think that's all great for everybody, right? But let's just get back to, obviously, the wokeness that we just heard. She says this deployment's going to hurt black and brown people. Lady, black and brown people are hurting black and brown people. What are you talking about? Black people are doing more damage to each other than whatever you think Trump is doing. Now, that statement, you would only agree to it if you have critical thinking skills. But if you have been sipping propaganda for years on end, you can't reason with that idea. You automatically will reject it because it doesn't match your paradigm. So I don't know where she's going with that. And then, of course, the guy had to bring up Tyrese Nichols. Listen, guys, if you've been crying about crime and now the federal government wants to do something about it, I don't want to hear you complain, okay? Because at least something's being done about it. It's crazy how people act. A lack of gratitude. And I think the attitude really comes from people who are watching MSNBC because here's what they think about it.
Michelle, let's start with you. What is your reaction to the expansion of the military's presence throughout American cities? Is this normal?
I mean, No, it's not normal. I think that, we've been talking a lot about for years, we're on the verge of authoritarianism. We might lose our democracy. I think that we're pretty well here. When you have a president stand up before the entire military and basically say, I want you or you're going to use American cities as training grounds for your foreign wars, when he declares huge swaths of the populace his enemies, when he sends the military to intimidate and potentially crush them.
Let's just pay attention to the language she's using. She says that the president is sending the military to intimidate and potentially crush American citizens. I'll say it before and then I'll say it again, which is the only people crushing American citizens are criminals. And that's exactly why he's sending in the military, to protect the federal assets from these criminals like Antifa and these far left groups that are vandalizing federal property, obstructing ICE officers, in some case assaulting them. That's why the president has the legal authority. Nothing about what he is doing is illegal at this point. He has the authority to send in 200 National Guard troops to protect ICE officers, ICE property, ICE detention facilities. It's federal property. But of course, they're not going to tell you that because it goes counter to their narrative. Now, speaking of going counter to your narrative, Hakeem Jeffries thought it was a great idea. Now we're talking about government shutdown stuff, to go on to CNN again. And you know what's interesting? And I got to give credit here. So Fake Tapper is now on board with confronting Jeffries over the provision we talked about in the earlier video of today, where they want to give, taxpayer money as far as funding healthcare for illegal aliens. Just watch it for yourself. Take a look.
So let me ask you about a provision that the Republicans are talking about quite a bit. I know you want to talk about, and Democrats want to talk about, extending the Obamacare subsidies, which expire at the end of 2025. But they talk about the provisions, and it's right here, subtitle E, and this has to do with the repeal of healthcare subtitle changes, and specifically what it is. How they characterize it is, you want to give health insurance to undocumented immigrants. I understand that's not really an accurate depiction, but what it does do is...
It's a lie.
It's a lie, but what you support does bring back funding for emergency Medicaid to hospitals, some of which does pay for undocumented immigrants and people who don't have health insurance. And also there is this provision, and it's not about undocumented immigrants, it's about people with asylum seekers and people with temporary protected status, et cetera, but about their ability to get Medicaid. So they're non-citizens, they're not undocumented, they're not illegal. Why even include that in a bill, knowing that they're going to seize right upon that and use that to message?
All right, so I think that kind of answers the question why, in my opinion, CNN has been a little annoyed at Democrats today based on the clips that we've seen, because, again, Democrats don't have an answer. And they're continuing to make mistake after mistake after mistake. And when CNN is even calling out the same stuff we were just talking about, where if Democrats got their way, they would take out from the one big beautiful bill that bans funding for health care when it comes to illegal immigrants. I mean, it's as clear as day. We went through it. If you haven't seen it yourself, go watch that video. I show you the actual screenshots of it. So, of course, what's interesting is Fake Tapper does it again. This time he's with Senator Mullen, and he says, he basically admits again that funding is going to illegal aliens. Take a look.
Emergency Medicaid reimbursements to hospitals, some of which does go to undocumented immigrants using healthcare there to those hospitals. Some of it is also for people who are in this country legally but are not citizens, people who are refugees or people who have temporary protected status.
Well, actually, it goes further than that, because in the One Big Beautiful Bill, it has a line saying cut and fraud, waste, and abuse, specifically saying that Medicaid and Medicare benefits cannot go to an illegal alien. Underneath this CR, that it's going to cost the taxpayers $1.5 trillion to keep government open for 4 weeks, it specifically, by line, X's that part out.
So that's the senator explaining it again to Fake Tapper. Listen, we went into depth about it. Again, if you want to see it for yourself, just watch the next video. I'll link it at the end of this. But I can't tell you how sad it is to see politicians just straight up lie. And I get it. They all lie. I get that. But these are one of those lies where it's like, you guys do understand that we can read, right? I mean, you're basically playing the president's game and you're losing miserably. I mean, when the president is memeing you and trolling you on social media and having fun, that means you've already lost, basically. Okay. Now, what's also interesting is Hakeem Jeffries, if we go back to him, during his press conference earlier today, because he did hold one in response to everything here, one of the reporters asked him, well, since we're in a government shutdown, will you stop receiving payment as well? Because some members of Congress are saying they will not take a salary as long as the government is shut down. I thought it was a great question. I guess he didn't. Take a listen.
So there's been several members of Congress that have asked bill pay to be withheld if this shutdown extends. Do you advise Democratic members to do that, or is it up to them?
Yeah, that's a question that every individual member is going to have to make on their own, as has always been the case in the past.
Will you withhold yours?
First of all, that question is not even a ripe one because we're anticipating that this shutdown issue will be resolved.
Well, it will be resolved, but it will probably come at you guys eating your own words and admitting that you were wrong on how you approach this entire situation. But anyway, let's just get to what you guys have to think about, or what you guys have to say about what we talked about in this video today. First, the federal surge that is now taking place in Memphis. Have you been to Memphis? Again, do you agree with this decision from the president? Do you believe that military soldiers should be used? Let me know your thoughts about that. All I'm saying here is that if whatever we've done in the past did not work, why would we not at least try this? That's it. I think it's just common sense. And then what do you make of the comments that LA Mayor Karen Bass said, where she says ICE is hunting Latinos? How do you feel about that, especially my law enforcement officers? And then just give me everything you think about what we spoke about in this video in the comment section below. Okay, so this takes us to our next video. As you guys know, the government shutdown is real. It's in place. And Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer continue to be humiliated and trolled by the president. They are calling him a racist over the memes that he's been posting to Truth Social. And we go in depth with the major claim from Democrats, which is they say that they're not trying to get health care for illegal aliens in this bill, that doesn't even exist. But we show you otherwise. So if you guys missed out on that video, all you have to do is click on it because it's coming up right now.